Welcome
Thank you.
to Business Insider. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
As you're aware, we're delving into successful business people. Not only to hear about the good stuff, but hopefully some of the bad stuff as well. So just don't break down on us, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just be strong. And there's a couple of sections that we'll start off with. It's a relatively new business.
Yes.
Some opportunities in the travel area. Do you just want to explain the site, You Bid for Rooms, and how it all works?
Okay, the site's called youbidforrooms.com. Essentially, we allow the consumer to make a bid or offer for a hotel room, and the hotel has 3 hours to respond to accepting that offer. Now, it's not a bid, it's not an auction as such where there's more than one person auctioning at the same time. It's merely an offer to the hotel. So it's more like a haggle site, which is done online. It's all confidential, and it gives the hotels, the opportunity to be able to accept the rates that they can't publish and they can't promote on any other site.
And can often happen in faster than 3 hours as well.
Exactly right.
Okay.
It normally does, and it's based on the knowledge that a vacant hotel room's revenue lost forever. So the hotels would be keen to sort of sell every last room.
And competitors are.
We don't have competitors in what we're doing. Currently it's totally unique in the world in terms of doing it the way we do it. But obviously we go up against the major companies like What If and Flight Centre, and so we are competing against the major corporations, and it's a challenge.
Okay. If we go back to the start, we'd be keen to hear maybe one or two strategies that you think you've used to gain some separation, to gain some advantage.
Okay.
Anything come to mind?
When it first came about, my main objective was to offer something different. There's a lot of websites, there's a lot of businesses that come up, copy a successful formula, and they copy it exactly and then expect to do as well as the company that did it. I created something different with this bidding concept. I've created it based on my 20 years experience in the hotel industry, and there was definitely a niche for sort of selling those rooms at rates that couldn't be published, and something that can't be done over the reception desk or on the phone. And so it was knowledge of the industry that really started the idea rolling.
Biggest problems getting started? What were the issues you had?
We went through the whole process. I mean, getting the concept was obviously the first step, putting a business plan together, which I hadn't done many of before. But it's what they say. You got to find the finance. You got to find the business plan, and you put the business plan out. Find the finance, which luckily came along, and then you start into areas you hadn't done before.
Just on that business planning, why do you think so few people don't take the time to do the business plan?
I think a lot of people think, in my opinion, that it's a long drawn out document, and they really don't have the skills to do it. I mean, my business plan was under 20 pages or so, and it was concise, and I think that really assisted in getting the finance I wanted. Okay. It's really, looking at the investor meetings we had, they really just want to get straight to the point. There's a few specifics that they're looking to see, and there can be too much information in there that is unnecessary, and it scares people away. Okay, cool. This coming year will be difficult? The whole process has been ups and downs. This coming year, I'm quite optimistic about this coming year. I think we've spent the last 2 years building the site, building the properties, and the suppliers on the site, which is obviously the main part of it. The functionality of the site's working well, so I'm very confident that a lot of things are lined up well, and I think 2011 is going to be a really good year for us. Excellent. So and that's based on 3 long years from the idea in my head to where we are now. So
it's probably a nice time now to talk about work-life balance. Gary, is there such a thing? Everyone laughs.
I must say, I found that one of the most important things in the business, and I think there can be and there should be a work-life balance, but you need to work at it. I mean, you need to make it for yourself. It's not going to just occur, so you need to structure, you need to plan, you need to ensure that you have enough time to enjoy more than just putting the business together. And I think I've done it well so far. Also getting the family involved to whatever level they can in the business helps. And I've got a really good balance. And I've seen businesses where they're working 7 days a week, and you ask them, do they need to, or are they not trusting of their staff? Are they not allowing themselves to take time off, and I sort of allow all of that to happen to myself.
Does that come back to that word, that planning word?
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right.
You actually force yourself
to
step away for a moment or two.
And trust. If the most important part of a business is who you're working with, and if you can't take the time away and leave whoever you can leave in charge of the business for that period, maybe you should rethink the whole process, because the family is at the end of the day, the family is the most important part it's of the business as well. You want to make the success and then be able to enjoy it with someone. It's no use.
Indeed. It's a lonely success.
Exactly right.
You. Okay.
So I'm quite comfortable. I think I've done that really well up to date.
Okay, we might check with your boss later. Now we just kind of kick back and say, okay, well, if we let you rant on something that gets under your skin in the business area, what would that be?
There's a few topics, but I think if I had a soapbox, I'd rant about the Central Coast as a whole, and what's happening in the tourism sector of it. I think we've got a magnificent area over here, and I think looking around, I go to certain areas quite often, and the state of these facilities, the areas, the look of the areas compared to some of our competitors up the coast is just very frustrating, and there doesn't seem to be anything being done about it. And it bothers me a lot. I mean, I've seen the industry. I've managed hotels. I've managed the smaller, larger hotels. I've been involved in other parts of the industry, and there's a lot more that could be done all the way from Gosford up and down the coast. But
why is it? Do we lack a level of serious business now, or?
I'm honest. I think that's a part of it. I really do, because I'm just looking at Terrigal, which is a jewel in the crown up here. I mean, you're looking at there currently. There's burnt-out buildings. There's vandalism. There's assaults, and the whole. It's all there kept under covers as such, and it's just really annoys. You walk up that most beautiful spot. You look at the beach. You turn back to the other side, and it's a burnt. Some of the sections just look like a third world country, and this really bothers me on a daily basis. And I think everyone should pull together, from tourism to council to government, and get at least Terrigal, one of the areas where they start with Terrigal, and then work on the rest of the coast, because it's just a beautiful spot being neglected, in my opinion.
Who's ultimately responsible for Terrigal, do you reckon? In your view? In
my view, I think it's not one person or one body. I really think everybody, from the tourism operators over there to Central Coast Tourism Council. I know everyone's involved. Everyone wants to see the end result the same, and I think it's really a matter of all bodies getting together, from the cafes to the hotels to the B&Bs, bodies, councils, everybody, and it can be done. I just can't understand why it hasn't been done. Blind Freddy can take a drive up there and see areas that need fixing, from the garbage around the back to the no police station, and I can go on and on.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It is about how do we fix it.
Exactly right. And I think, ultimately it's the council and the Central Coast Tourism, I'm assuming, and the operators there. I mean, operators there have a vested interest in getting the best result, getting more people over there, so...
Have they overinvested? Have they just spent more money than they should have, and therefore they've got no money to promote and secure the position, or?
I'm not sure. They haven't overinvested in that area, but you see investments in areas. I mean, Kibble Park in Gosford, for example, which didn't need, in my opinion, a multi-million-dollar upgrade, where it could have been spent in a boardwalk in Terrigal, for example. I think a boardwalk between Terrigal and the Haven across the rocks there would be a magnificent opening up of the area. And another thing, I think people don't realise that tourism is for everyone. I mean, tourism, they don't realise if someone comes there, they're going to go to the shop, they're going to go to the restaurant, they're going to go to the hotel is going to buy food from the butcher, and it just goes on and on. So the closed mind people are thinking, I don't want to see the tourists in town, but it helps everybody. It picks up everything, and that's the frustration of the whole thing.
Can operators be forcefully encouraged to invest in the region, do you think? Is that where it's going to come to?
I think some of the immediate infrastructure there, I think has to be covered up. There's buildings, as I mentioned, that are rat infested, and if anything, cover them up, put a facade on them so that the public can't see that, number one. That's just, or get the owners, have a moratorium on being able to do something with the property. Some of them have been burnt out there for 15, 20 years, and I'm not sure who can do it. I'm not sure who's got the money, but I think it can be done, and I think there's enough money around with the properties in Terrigal and all the relevant bodies to put something together and get it happen.
My issue is I don't understand why it hasn't been done. It has been an issue for 30 years.
Exactly
and
right.
no one wants to touch it.
Exactly right. That is a big question. Why? And everyone agrees. And why hasn't it been done? I don't have an answer for that. But
it's got to be.
It's got to. But now they've done some interesting things. They've built a walkway all the way across the Haven, the Skillion, for example. Now that's excellent. But it's like is that the first priority, or would it be,
what's it joined to?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Quite a busy road.
Exactly right. And I'm just focusing on Terrigal, but the other areas would be.
Oh, you could choose.
Exactly. And Gosford. Just one more thing. The Gosford, the Spurbest development, which was knocked back, would have actually been finished now. And there's still a hole in the ground over there, and we would have had a vibrant city of Gosford. But 8 years ago, it was knocked back for a couple of stories and height levels and. Very frustrating for someone who loves this area. As I'm saying, from the individual operators themselves, there's a lot of money invested. Crown Plaza, for example, there's a lot of money invested. And I think I fully agree with you. It's everybody. It's from the chambers. It's individual bodies. It's there's a lot of complaining around. We have to stop. On the other side of it, stop all the negativity anytime something's proposed and not in my backyard scenario comes out. So absolutely, I think it's everybody needs to get involved. But I think the council. And it may be coordinated through the council and Central Coast Tourism, but at the end of the day, absolutely, everybody is with a vested interest there.
Are the chambers active in this area, do you think, from what you see?
I know they're there. I don't know. I know that. I mean, I know they've. I know
that's very delicately put.
No, I haven't been to the meetings. I know people who have. They discuss good issues. I mean, a lot of the stuff gets discussed a lot. I mean, the Gosford waterfront, there's another example, 20 odd years. It's going to be redeveloped. Will it ever be redeveloped? And same thing, it needs more than, you're right, you can't blame the council and the bodies, you need everybody, but it needs to be coordinated by somebody. You can't just say, it's too hard, I can't do it, they can't do it.
I see tourism as actually that destination management plan actually set that template in place against which Terrigal Chamber could build a plan, as I understand it, and request funding. So, I don't know whether it's actually got to the grassroots level yet, and why?
That's it. I mean, the grassroots. I mean, you look at Star of the Sea, for example, and surrounded by the two burnt-out buildings. Now, you wonder why. Some parts of them say we kind of, rats. I heard rats are running in there. Just an example. And you're right. They should be rising up from. And it will help everybody. I mean, the people will come pouring in there more than they do now. They'll come there in the off season. Currently, everyone does well for 6 weeks, but we need people there the whole year.
And this hasn't come from me, but I'm a little tired of the council bashing. I think there is an opportunity for individuals to stand up, individuals in groups at a local level to say we want to do this with a solution, rather than just That's the problem.
That's a good. I suppose the council comes into it for knocking back some major development, which I mentioned Spurbest.
Well, that's moved on now.
Exactly right.
Right now, Spurbest would have probably happened if it had been presented now.
Right.
It would have got through. It's happened at Erlong just recently.
But unfortunately, it's too late now because you look at Gosford, and Gosford is there again, the capital of the coast. You drive in there, it's just very, very sad what's happened there. And but I agree with everyone, but. Currently, you're right. It's easy to blame people, and no one seems to be doing anything. So, why not? We don't know. As I say, there's a lot of money invested in infrastructure, and
I'll get our plug in here now for Business Insider, because we see our role as hopefully energising and activating those smaller groups who can actually create solutions. And empower them to take them to council, because certainly the side of council I'm seeing is that they actually want that development and that growth, and they've now had the approval process lifted off their shoulders, so they want it what is best.
Yes.
But they need support, and we need as individual business owners to give them support, give them guidance, give them recommendations, and talk to them. So anyway.
But another point, I mentioned they're not in my backyard people, and that's another major issue, because as long as there's 50% of the people who want to do something, the stronger stronger voices are ones who don't want any changes at all. They're happy with the one car in the street, one other car comes, and it's just frustrating, crazy. It's frustrating.
But we've got developers here that take that into account.
That's right.
We've on this program, we've talked to people who look that far ahead and will push through.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a matter of wanting to do it, and
Exactly,
I'm not sure
right.
that the businesses on the Central Coast actually understand it's their obligation. If they want it to be strong, it's their obligation.
How
to
do you
make it
get
strong.
that message across? And
Yeah.
and the first time you talk about a building, they say we don't want to be like the Gold Coast or Chatswood. I actually wrote into the papers when that last came up and
I
said
did
we'd
read
love
that.
to have the employment that the Gold Coast and Chatswood have had, so we don't have to all drive through Sydney every day. You know,
Yeah, 40 or 50,000.
There's no Gold Coast or Chatswood. We want in tourism. We want businesses that relate to tourism. So then we can have jobs for our kids and everyone else up here. It's just it's a no-brainer in my opinion. But absolutely, someone needs to get the people together in a good sense and get something done. And it's
and it can be done.
Exactly right.
I think
They could put a levy. I mean, they've talked about levies which are very unpopular as such. But if it picks up an area and then there's no other money around, find a way of as you say, there's many ways of doing it. But someone has to coordinate it, and that's a major frustration.
Frustration and a big opportunity.
Especially being in tourism, and that's not related to my business. I sell hotels outside of this area, but I live in this area and I've watched it for many, many years stagnate as such.
And you have a service eye, you recognise.
Exactly right.
So,
That's
okay.
another issue, yes.
Now stop.
Okay, right.